Okay, at the high level I am going to explain you. Yeah, can someone please mute your microphone? I'm getting some disturbance. Okay, yeah, thank you. So there is a concept called constraints. What is a constraint? So let's say I have a table. Okay, I have a table. I have a table called EMP. Okay, I think I'm having some issue with my pad. So I'll draw here. Let's say I have a table. It's called employee table. Employee table is having the ID and name. 1, 2, 3, 4 of the IDs. Next, I am having one more table called salary. Okay, this salary table will have the list of employees whom you are paying. It will have the employee ID and salary for that employee ID. Okay, now if I insert one employee ID, salary is 20,000. Okay, the system will allow you to insert. If I insert employee ID 2, okay, salary is 10,000, the system should allow. If I insert something employee ID called 10, it should not allow me to insert, because that employee ID 10 is not there in the employee table, right? Hello?
Yeah.
So it should not allow me to insert. So this is a kind of thing I am going to do, that I am going to control the insertion on the table. I am going to make that data consistent way. Okay, if they insert the employee IDs which are not there in the employee table, then it's a bad data, right? The data is not in a good state. So I can control all the things. And let's say there's a in the salary, on the particular salary column, if someone inserts the negative 10,000, okay, or negative 1 lakh, then it should not allow the negative numbers. How can I control? That all things I can control by using the constraints. If someone if there is a guy who doesn't insert any salary, inserted the employee details, but you are not inserted the salary amount, so by default it should take some default salary here. So I can use them. Okay, I can control the data and maintain the data in a consistent way in the sense, maintain the data in a good way. In order to do that, I can there is a concept called constraints. On the SQL server, there are many constraints. So the constraints are divided into multiple categories. So based on that, you can maintain the consistency of the data. Okay, so the first one, there are 3 types of constraints. It is called, first one is a domain constraint. Okay, second one is the entity constraints. Third one is a referential integrity constraint. Okay, first one is a domain constraint, second one is entity constraint, third one is a referential integrity constraint. So domain constraint means whatever you do on the column level. See, I have drawn a diagram, right? If I want to create some condition on this column where only this column is involved, if I want to check where the amount should not be greater than where the amount should not be in the negative one, I'm checking on this particular column, right? So then it is nothing but so checking on the column, you will be calling it as a domain constraint. See, 10, if when I insert 10, it should check in the other table whether the data is there or not, right? Or if you want to do something at the table level, then you will be calling it as a entity constraints. If you want to do something at the table level, then you will be calling it as a entity constraints. Okay, domain constraints means at column level, and entity constraints is at the table level, entire table level. Okay, and referential integrity constraints is between tables, between 2 tables, between more than one table. Okay. So, in the domain constraints you can find in the domain constraints, again you will be having three types of constraints: check constraint, default constraint, and rule. Okay. And on the entity constraint you will be having the primary key, and you will be having the unique key, UNIQE, unique key. Okay. On the referential constraint you will be having only one thing, that is a foreign key. Foreign key. Okay. And I am going to explain step by step. I think my handwriting is not clear. So, domain constraint is nothing but default constraint, check constraint, and rules. Okay. And entity constraints: primary key, primary and unique. And referential integrity constraints means foreign key. Okay. So, there are 6 constraints: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 6 constraints are categorized into groups. So, domain constraint means all the constraints which deals on the columns are called domain constraints. So, default, check, and rules goes with the domain constraints. All the constraints that deals with at the table level, that you will call it as a primary key and unique key constraint, and you will call as a entity. Entity means table. Normally in the real scenario, when you go to the Oracle or other databases, whenever you find the word called entity, entity means table, domain means column. That's it. Remember that way. Always it's a fix, it's a standard. Entity means table, domain means column. What is the referential integrity constraint? Referential integrity constraint means relation between two tables. That is a foreign key. We are going to see each and everything now. Quick way. Okay. So, yeah, I'll explain that before that. What is the default constraint? When I want to insert some data into the column, and if I don't insert, so when I don't insert, what happens? There will be a null value in that column, right? So, instead of having null value, I can have some default value inserted. If I don't insert, then the default value will be inserted into that column. Okay, that is the default. What is a check? Check constraint means when you are inserting the data, you want to check some conditions, like where salary should not be in the negative one. Then that is nothing but the check constraint. What is a primary key? Primary key means whenever I'll go with the rules later on. What is the primary key? Primary key means whenever you are inserting a data into the table, okay, whenever you are inserting a data into a table, you can insert the unique data. If you are trying to insert a duplicate, it will not allow. Same with the unique record also. Same with the unique. If you create a unique key, unique constraint, then it will also not allow the duplicate records. But there is slight difference between primary key and unique key. I will show with the real example. Foreign key is nothing but whenever you try to insert the duplicate, whenever you try to insert the bad record, then the system will not allow you to insert. Now, first we will go with the single step. Okay, first we will create a table and we will see some constraints. So, my scenario is that I will create a table called in the temp database, table called table constraints, and now I will give IDP as a primary key. It is an integer, it is of primary key. So, how to declare it as a primary key constraint? Primary key. That is it, done. Next, ID unique key, integer, I will give it as unique key. That is it. Just give the column name, data type, and a constraint name. Okay. Next, I think for the unique you can just give the unique only. For the primary key you need to give the primary key, but the unique you will give the unique. Now, I will have some name called name as varchar, and what I want, if I don't insert the name, by default it should take the xxx as my name. So, I will give default in the brackets, I will give xxxx. That is it. If I don't insert, by default it will take that name. Next, I have a salary. Salary is a data type called integer. Now what I will do, I will check here, check, okay, bracket salary between okay, sorry, between, when inserting the salary, I want to see, check salary between 1000 and 10 lakhs. Okay. Oh yeah, I think I need to delete 0 units, tens, 100,000, 10,000, lakh, 10 lakh. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this is the thing. When I insert, if I insert the values less than 1000, it will show an error. If I insert value more than 10 lakhs, then it will show an error. I will just give 10,000. I will not go with the 10 lakh also. Simple way. Okay. Done. I will close this data. This is a table called table constraint EMP, or else I will name EMP constraint EMP. Okay. Now I am done. I am good. I have a table now. Now I will try to insert the data. Insert. Okay. Insert into table EMP con. First we will go one by one. Primary key, I will insert 1. Okay. Next IDU also I will insert 1. Name, I will not give anything. Okay. I will try to go with 3 columns. I will insert IDP, comma, IDU, comma, sal. I will insert only 3 columns. I will not insert name. So salary will be 100001. Done. Okay. Now I will insert the date. Okay, sorry, values, right? So now I will insert the data. I am not inserting any name column here. See, I am not inserting any field called name. Now I will do select star from table when I do this, now you can see, even though I am not inserted, by default it is going to store the XXX. Are you able to get this point? Hello? Yeah. Okay. Now see one more thing. Okay, we are done. Control C. Now I will insert one more record with the different IDs. Okay. 2 I will give 2. Now what I will do, here I have a name, right? Or else I will try to insert the salary as 101. Then what happens? It is going to throw an error, because see, check constraint. What is the check constraint we are having? We are asking the salary should not be, salary should always be between 1000 and 10,000, but you are inserting 101. So 101 is doesn't satisfy this condition, right? So you are getting the error. Okay. I will give this one, done, 1010. Now see what I will do. Instead of so I am inserting the primary key as 1 again. I will just insert 1 again, because already I am inserting the primary key means it will accept only that record. Suppose if I have a column, on the particular column if I have the primary key, now we will go with the primary key and unique key. I have created primary key and unique key, right? What happens here normally? So I have a column with the primary key and unique key. One column with the primary key, another column with the unique key. Okay. So primary key means primary key and unique key both are same. It will not allow you to insert any duplicates. Okay. I have 1, so it will allow. I have 2 and I have 1, it will not allow, right? I will show this way. So if I have 2 comma 1, it will not allow, because 1 is again duplicated, it will not allow me to insert the data. If I have something like, if instead of storing any data, I will insert null value comma 1, it will not allow. Always the primary key will not allow null values. Always the primary key will not allow null values. Always you should have some value, and that value should be uniquely identified. Okay. So it will not allow. If I give in other way like 1 comma 2, so even though 1, both will not work here, because one is a duplicate in the unique key, and null will not be accepted by the primary key column. So, you will not be getting. If I give null comma 2, then also you will not be able to get, because primary key will not allow any null values, and 2 is okay. 2 is because there is no 2 here, so it will allow it will try to insert 2, but since it is null values will not be accepted by the primary key, so you will not be able to insert that one. Let's say if we give 2 null, then it will be inserted, 2 will be inserted, null will be inserted. If it try to insert 3 null again, then it will show an error. So here the primary key will not accept any nulls, unique key will accept only one null. That is the difference between primary key and unique key. Okay, are you able to get my point?
Yes.
Primary key will never accept null values, but unique key will accept null value, but it will only accept one null value, nothing more than that. Okay. So, and one more thing is that when you create a primary key, automatically a clustered index is created on the primary key, and since unique key will store null value also, right? So that's why a non-clustered unique key is created. Okay, non-clustered index is created on the unique key, a cluster index is created on the primary key by default. I can show you that once after inserting the data. So now what I will do, now if I try to insert null comma 2, null comma some 2, okay, then what happens, the system will not allow me to insert the data, null comma 2. Now it will show an error, primary key constraint error. See, okay, see, column does not allow nulls, because the primary key will never allow null, it will not at all allow null values. Instead of that, if I give 2 comma null, null means I am inserting into the unique key. Null means it is not an integer, it is not a varchar. Null means value not known, that's it. Okay, whenever even the varchar field you can insert null values, integer you can insert null values, any data type you can insert null. Null means value unknown, that's it. Null means don't keep in the quotes, again it becomes a called a varchar, always just give in the null. So that's why it is showing in the like black in the ash color, right? Now when I try to insert 2 null, it will allow me to insert 2 null. See, now that column will be having a null value also. See, it is having null value now. Now if I try to insert one more null value into the same table, then in the same record, then it will see unique key constraint, because unique key can store only one null value, that's it. Now what is the table name? It is the table name is this one, right? Go to the refresh, table emp cons. Now if I expand this and go to the indexes, there will be 2 indexes created here. See, one is the cluster index, another is a non-cluster index. So always when you create, so the difference between the primary key and unique key is, primary key will allow primary key will have the unique records, unique key also will have unique records, but the primary key will not allow null values, unique key will allow the null values. Okay, and primary key by default, primary key will have the cluster index created on that column, unique key will have the non-cluster index created on the column. This is the major difference between the primary key and unique key. Okay, hello, yeah.
Can we see the structure of the non-clustered diagram?
Yeah, you can see table, you can see. When I go to the create to new query window, just you will be getting the C alter table. This is a index, unique non-cluster.
Can we see how it is grouped?
Oh, you want to see that diagram which I have shown?
Yeah,
You can't see that one. It is only the thing, the back end it is done that way. Okay.
okay.
Yeah, so this is a way how you are going to see. So now we have seen unique key constraint, default constraint, check constraint, and primary key constraint, right? So I have one more table, create table. Okay, I have a table name called EMP or salary. So the table name will be table sal constraints. Okay, it is related to constraint, so I'll name it as constraint sal. Now this one will have the EMP ID. Okay, I'll name the IDP as integer. Next, I'll have the field called salary as integer. Oh, already I am having salary there, right? So instead of that, I'll give EMP's address constraint ID comma I'll have address varchar of 100. Okay. Now I'll have the table, and I have created the table done. Now what I'll do, I'll try to insert into table address. So ID will be 1 comma a. I have inserted ID 1 comma a, done. Okay, it's values, right? Values. I'll insert, so it will be 1 comma a will be inserted. Now if I do the select star from that both the tables, select star from EMP, oh table, right? Okay. If I do this, I am going to remove this table structure. I don't want to see. Now if I have this, I am inserting this one and it is allowing, there is no problem. Okay, that EMP my scenario is that whatever the records I got in the EMP table, the same ID should be inserted into the address. If I try to insert the wrong ID, then it should show an error. See the EMP table, this is the EMP address table, right? So if I insert some ID, because the 3 ID is not there in the EMP table, address table. If I try to insert the 3 ID, it will allow me to insert. If I see this, you can see the see here, you can see that one. But my scenario is that it should not allow me to insert that ID. So for that purpose, there is a relationship called foreign key relationship. So first I'll delete that ID 3. Delete from table called table address cons where IDP equal to 3. Yeah, done. Okay. Now if I do, then the data is not there. Now I am going to create a foreign key on that. So how to create a foreign key? Alter table, because I am changing the structure of a table. Alter table, table name. I'm not sure I can remember the foreign key, or add or alter constraint, I think. Yeah, add constraint, add foreign key, I think. Add alter column. What is the column name? It's a IDP. Yeah, we can see the syntax. So I'll show you syntax. Foreign key, foreign key references, which table is that? I want to reference with the EMP con table with the IDP ID. So I'll just take this, Control C, and the column name is IDP. That's it. I'll give. The syntax is different, so just we can see in the Google. I think there is something called alter column or add column. It should be alter column because we are changing the structure, we are changing the existing column, not okay, alter column will be there. Adding foreign key to existing table. Yeah, add a constraint. So this is the thing. We are good up to here. References, yeah, constraint name, constraint type, and add a column name. Yeah, constraint, add constraint, constraint name. I can give fk. I should give some name, constraint name. By default, in the primary key when I have created, I am not given any constraint name, right? Now I will show you when I see the script, or by default it will have some constraint created. Add constraint. Okay, it will be add constraint, not alter. So add constraint. So the constraint name will be fk underscore the table name, table add or cons cons idp, the column name. It is a foreign key, foreign foreign key. And what column I am giving the foreign key? It is an idp on this particular table. Okay, reference at the destination table, that's it. So I am adding a constraint name, it is a name I am giving. If I don't give, it will take the default name. So it is a foreign key. It is the idp column on my table. It is idp column. So see, this is the table which I am creating at this here. If I want to create a foreign key here, I can create it directly. Foreign key, references the other table name. What is the destination, on which table we want to refer, that destination table name, and the column name, on column in the column name of the table name. This is the way that you need to give. Okay, but I am adding the constraints after creating a table. So this is the only way you need to do. Add constraint name, constraint type. Okay, it is a foreign key constraint. And then what do I want? I want on which column I need to add a foreign key constraint. On the table add cons, address cons, there is a column called idp I want to add. And to which column I need to refer? To the table emp cons idp column I want to refer. Now I will do this. I have created a constraint, done. Now if I try to insert tree value now, it will throw an error. See? It will throw an error simply. It will not allow me to insert the value. That's it. Okay. So we have seen couple of constraints. The only thing left is the rule. So what are the constraints we have seen? Entity constraint, domain constraint, and the referential integrity constraint. So we have seen the foreign key, we have seen the primary key and unique key, we have seen the default and check. Then what is the rules? Rules is nothing but, see, constraint you are doing. Let's say I want to create a constraint. So this is my scenario. This is my scenario. So I am having table 1, table 2, table 3, table 4 and table 5. Now I want in all the tables, I want to create a constraint where every table has a column called salary. All tables has a column called salary. Now I want to create a check constraints on all the tables where salary should be greater than 1000 to 10,000. It should be between 1000 to 10,000. Okay. Now I have created the constraints on all the tables, table 1, table 2, table 3, table 4, table 5. After some days, I want to change this instead of 1000 to 10,000, but now at the beginning it was 1000. It was 20 years ago. After 50 or 60 years ago, the salary will not be minimum salary. No one cares for 1000, right? So they want to change 1000 to 1 lakh or 1000 to 10,000 and 10,000 to 1 lakh. They want to change 10,000 to 10,000 and 10,000. So they want to increase the limit. Then what you need to do? You need to go and change it each and every table. You need to go and change the constraint in each and every table, right? That's the method you know. there is a one more method where whatever the condition you want, you can store the condition in one name. Instead of now what you are going to apply that condition to all the tables. Okay. Now if you want to change anything, so instead of going and changing each and every table, just you will change this one. Automatically it will be reflected in all the tables. It is like the shared path, shared one. Are you able to get my point?
Yeah.
So this is nothing but the rules. Okay. So it's simple, but very rarely you will be using. Even the constraints also you will not be using. Very rarely you will be using, but you need to know the concept. You might use the default constraint, and that's it. Primary key if you want, you will be using. I will not say that you will be using, but I am not saying that you will not be using, but you will be using them, but very rarely. Okay. So there is a concept called rule. So what is a rule? Let's say I am having a rule called, this is a thing. I'll create a rule. So it is a object type called rule. I'll give the rule. I'll give the rule name as something. I'll give the rule name called name control, name size as a rule name. Okay. And I'll give the condition. What is the condition I'll give? At the rate. So here, as we know, always my name should not exist more than at the rate length of. So by default I'll give at the rate len. Okay. It should be less than 110 only. Okay, this is my rule which I am giving. I am creating a rule. Length should be less than 10. Okay. Now what I will be doing? Now I will assign this rule to the table. Let's say I want to have the name, even though I create, there will be many tables which will have the name with the different sizes, but I want to restrict it to 10 size. Then what I will be doing? Now I will apply this rule to the table name. Okay. So how to, there is a procedure called execute binding. Okay, that is, it's called sp underscore binding, bind rule. And what is the rule name I am having? The rule name is nothing but name size. Okay. And then later on you should give the table name. What is the table name dot column name? So my table name is this one, table this one, control C, done. And the column name is name dot name. That's it. Now I am binding that rule to this table name. Execute sp bind rule. Oh. Table emp cons dot name. Oh, sorry. Columns. Okay. See, rule bound to the table column. So we bound that rule. What is the bound rule? That whenever we insert, it will check, it will not allow you to insert more than 10 characters, even though you are given 100 characters, right? Now we will see the table name. IDU salary name dot, okay, salary. Now what I am doing, I will be giving something called 5 comma 5 comma name. I will be giving it as ABC. So when I insert, it will allow me to insert the data. Okay. Now I will give 6 comma 6. Now I will insert more than that, more than 10 characters. Okay. Now I will try to insert. What happens? See, because a rule is imported on the table. Are you able to get my point? It is same like a constraint, but it is like shared one, global. So instead of creating a constraint, same constraint each and every table, you create a rule, and everyone can use that rule. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's it. So we are good with this today's class.